between you and I.
Nicole, great speaking with you. Where are you right now in this part of the world? Because, of course, we are in 3 months in 2021. I think people are still feeling 2020. In fact, I think 2020 bled into 2021. How are you doing? Where are you? And how have you been dealing with this whole new world?
Well, I'm currently in North Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. So a bit northern, a little colder here. But you know what? It's been obviously a huge adjustment to everybody, but I'm still doing music. I'm still doing what I love to do, and just adjusting to it is all really. You know, you live and you adapt.
How have you had to adapt? I mean, how has it affected your career with the shutdowns and, you know, 1 minute things are opening up, then it's shutting down again? Were you like in 2020 or even in, you know, thinking about in 2021 touring or, you know, just, you know, getting more music out there? What was your original plan? And then once COVID hit, how did it affect your plans?
It was a little crazy. Definitely, you know, just at the end of 2019 even, I was, Over a Drink was recorded and I was ready to release it. I was doing lots of shows, had lots of set up basically, and then the world shut down, and it really took a big change on how we were going to do things. I didn't really know, we still don't know how it's going to, you know, evolve from here. And so, yeah, it's a huge adjustment just in the sense of like, not being able to do live shows anymore. That's what I do. This is the reason why I do music, is to play live shows in front of people and share my music with people live. And to have that being taken is really difficult. Absolutely. But, you know, we're finding new ways to be able to connect with people, and there's ways of doing it in even a better way, connecting with people all throughout the world and being able to do these kind of interviews in my pajamas. So, you know what, like, it does have its, you know, cons, of course, but until it goes back to normal, this is the way it is. And I just miss playing live shows for sure.
Just curious, were you able to do any of the drive-in shows, or were you doing any virtual shows? And of course, as we speak, I do believe this month drive-ins are supposedly going to be opening throughout Canada.
I've heard that, yeah. 2020 for me, you know, did a couple live shows here and there, but I took that time really to focus on like what I was doing to write. You know, we're not, as artists, we don't get an opportunity to really take time and like slow down and really be creative a lot of the time. So I did that. And then moving forward to 2021 with Over a Drink coming out and a bunch of other little projects that are going to be on the way. Yeah, there's definitely opportunity for more live streams, and drive-in shows are coming up. I've got one for the summer that I just booked, which is super exciting. So yeah, it just might be the new adjustment of the new normal of how we do shows for the next little while here. So it'll be fun. Kind of like the 50s.
There you go, exactly. Has your writing or focus on writing changed? Because of course, 2019, nobody heard anything about COVID. So you know, we were used to being in the crowds and the parties and the, you know, festivals and things like that. So the world was set in a different way. With COVID, because of being distant and, you know, more aware, under aware, and did it change the way your music writing is now in your stories after this new single that you're releasing?
Yeah, it definitely did in two different ways, actually. Like I said, I spent a lot of time, you know, in a creative space because I wasn't super busy with doing, you know, all the crazy things that is being a musician. So really got to dial in with my emotions and going through, you know, different parts of my life that I was able to write about in a deeper way. But also something, I was just talking about this, I had a writing session the other night, and I was saying to him, you know, like my whole brand and aesthetic is all about, you know, high energy and party country and like having a good time on stage and in the kind of in that bar setting, right? And obviously we're not doing that so much right now. And so even when I hear a party song come on the radio right now, I'm like, it's so much, so loud. So I think I'm definitely writing a lot more, a little bit more mellow songs, some more country heartbreak songs, at this very moment for sure. But I mean, I'm still gritty. I still have my edge to me, but it's definitely changed in the sense of, you know, just a little bit more dialed in emotionally and melodically, I think.
I'm just curious, how many masks do you have now?
Oh my goodness. You know what? I've got about 4 fabric ones that I rotate, but and then I got the box of disposable ones if I'm going to the gym or something like that. But yeah, they're kind of all over the house.
I'm just curious, what is your favorite mask right now? Because let's face it, this is the only time ever that you can wear a mask, go into a bank, and nobody's going to look at you funny.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah, and you know what? Like, I don't wear makeup anymore. It's actually, you know, it's a blessing, really. I can just get up and go. Not like I really wear much makeup in the first place anyways, but now I can get away with looking crazy. Yeah, it's
but your favorite mask, which one is it?
I really enjoy the Aritzia ones. That's the clothing stores in Canada here, and yeah, they make them really good. They fit my small face. I feel like the disposable ones are gigantic, and I just have really little ears, and they don't stay on. And my mom works in healthcare, and so she's giving me lots of tips on how to make it stay on properly. But it drives me nuts.
Yeah, I found that if you when you put it on, if you pull the ends of the hook behind your ear, you can sort of, it's almost like you attach it to yourself. I think one of the biggest problems is when we first, people were making masks, they were using those black little rubber pieces, and they weren't big enough, and you know, you didn't have the adjustable ones, and of course they were hurting your ears. But the thing was, though, they still at least had some good designs, because I just find you go to the stores, horrible designs. I'm like, can somebody please start making some public ones that have got great designs? The only way you can get them off of is Amazon these days.
It's true. There's a lot of cute boutiques in Vancouver and in the Fraser Valley area where I live that, you know, have really cute fabric ones and whatnot. But I'm just a classic black mask just to get me through it and call it a day.
You know, when you use that word classic, that's what I really thought about your music. What a mix of, when you hear about the instrumental, the voice, things like that, you can hear the classic in there, but somehow with that drum beat, it just kicks in to what's going on today. Where did you get that mesh of great music from?
Well, thank you. That's nice to hear. You know what? I listened to a lot of different kinds of music growing up. But specifically traditional country music, so, you know, Patsy Cline, Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson. So those are some heavy influences on my music, and I think that, you know, the way that the country music industry is going now, the light of what country music is kind of fading, and I feel like it's really important to keep that light alive. But also, like I said, you know, like I'm a gritty person, and I think I like to have fun with my music too, and I want it to, you know, just be a good time. And so Gretchen Wilson is another one of my inspirations, as well as Miranda Lambert. They're more modern artists who show that more, you know, badass grit. And I think they also respect the traditional country music as well, to balance that out.
What was it like growing up in a small town?
I loved it until I was a late teenager. You know, I think you always, when it comes to hometowns, and I hear this a lot from other people that have come from my town. I grew up in Abbotsford, BC, which is a small little, they call it the city in the country, because it's actually like, it's not a town where it's like 900 people or anything, but it's quite a few, it's quite populated, but it's very small town minded. It's a farming town. Most of my friends were in 4-H. You know, on the weekends, there wasn't much. We had lots of bonfires and burned rubber and, you know, snuck out our parents' liquor. But, you know, in the moment, I didn't realize how good it was until I moved to the city. And as much as I love living out here, it's really exciting, and most in a non-COVID world, there's lots to do. I do miss the simplicity of just having, you know, a backyard fire, and having your neighbors come over, and it just being a little bit more simple. So I do miss it more now, but it was growing up great. And then once I'm a teenager, I'm like, get me out of here. I need to see something different.
But how did growing up like that and listening to the music that you listened to help form the writing, the stories that you started to tell through country music?
Totally. with country music, there was never a time where I didn't, like, it wasn't chosen for me. It was never something where I'm like, I think country music is my genre. Like, that's just what I was writing because that's what I knew. Something about me as a writer and as an artist is I'm never going to put something out that I didn't personally go through or firsthand experience with somebody else. That's really important to me. And so I came from a small town. I came from a farming community, and that is what I know. And so I'm going to write about that. I'm going to write about those relationships in that kind of setting. Some people will find it cliche, but you know what? That's just what I live. So it's nice being able to go into a writing room and be able to write a dang country song. But yeah, that's just the genre that just chose me, and it's evolved from there, and here we are today.
How did probably the biggest Canadian country artist right now, Brett Kissel, how did that name affect your life?
Brett Kissel?
Yes.
So I was 15, and I had just started touring at that point, and I met two other artists, Ben Click and Jesse Mast, and we somehow swingled a gig opening up for Brett Kissel when he was really getting big with his new single Started With a Song, and he was playing a show in Salmon Arm, British Columbia, and we got to open the show all together, and it was a really crazy experience because, you know, there was a big crowd there. It was the real deal. It was the sound man, it was the whole band, it was, you know, tickets and merch, and that was one of my first shows I really ever did. And it was opening for Brett Kissel, who's obviously super successful in what he does now. And during that show, we were just kids and we didn't really know what was going on, but Brett was fantastic. He took the time to talk to us before the show and stood side stage and watched the set, which I thought was a very nice thing to see. But yeah, moving forward from that, you know, it's funny looking back because I was so young and probably not ready for an opportunity like that, but I'm thankful that I did have that because it did teach me a lot. You know, moving forward, starting out in the industry really young, teaches you those fundamental importance.
I think when you're able to achieve something like that, you're definitely ready. I mean, it sounds like you've been preparing from day one, so you were definitely ready for that. You had other accolades happening in your life also. What are some of the, you know, awards that you've been involved with?
The BC Country Music Association has been part of me for pretty much my entire life. I think I was 13 or 14. I was the trophy girl for them back in the day. And then, you know, short years later, I was up for various different awards, female artist, new artist, music video back then. CCMAs is another one where I've gotten to showcase during their Country Music Week, which has been great. Global Country Star Search. Back in 2015, I was a winner for that as well, which was a really cool opportunity I got to do and meet a lot of amazing other artists and industry people, and I still really keep close contact with a lot of them as well. So yeah, it's all just building into where I am today.
I want to go back to what you just talked about, being the term trophy girl.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you're trophy girl and you're giving the awards and you're seeing these people winning and they're making their speeches, did you ever have in your head about that's going to be me and this is what I'm going to say? I mean, talk a little about that if you did.
I studied them so much. Absolutely. You know what? I've never not thought that I would be in entertainment business one way or another. Like from a really small kid, I was in a fine arts school. I danced for my entire life. And so being a musician, a singer is just always something that I was going to do. And so when I got the opportunity to be backstage with these people, yeah, it was really cool. I felt a little bit anxious, but I mean, everyone backstage was great. And I remember seeing Chad Brownlee up on stage and he was accepting an award and just really studying what he was saying and doing and seeing the artists that were performing that night. I'm like, oh, that's going to be me. It was never like, oh, I want to be that. That is going to happen. And so, yeah, it was interesting. I was like 14 wearing heels for the first time too. That was aggressive. Hated that. But, you know.
So when you got your first nomination for anything dealing with music, Do you remember where you were and what that feeling was like when it happened?
Nomination specifically, I think I was 18, and I remember it was for a second ballot nomination for my music video that I had put out at the time, for a song called Let's Get Country. And I remember I had just graduated high school, if that. And being in high school and being in the music industry, I got kind of picked on for that a little bit, just because it's just something different. And so I remember being up for this award and just kind of having this moment of like being like, well, you guys made fun of me, but now I'm up for an award. So like kind of cocky, but also just, it was a good feeling of feeling, reassurance that I'm not a dork and that I'm doing something that's, people are actually liking in the real world. And so it's a really cool experience. And I was, a teenager too. So it was, add the teenage drama on top of that. It was really fun. Yeah.
It's so funny because, of course, when people see you on stage or see, photos and things like that, nobody would ever think of you as a geek or a dork or or anything like that. Did you consider yourself that, or did those people consider you that?
It was a little bit of both. I think I have, multiple different phases of life that I've gone through. But yeah, in high school, I would either skip school to keep sleeping in, or I would skip school and just go to class, get the participation marks, and then go down to the music room and play piano all day. So yeah, I had a bunch of different like groups of friends and whatever. So I think just like my career that I had chosen at a really young age was just weird for people, and I was putting myself out there, and that's odd for someone to do that.
It's not, because I played football and things like that, but I would go into the music room sometimes at lunch and just play the piano or try to write a song or things like that. So I think when the creativity is in you, it's in you, and you don't have a choice. You've got to express it somehow, no matter what else that you're doing. And one of the expressions that you've done is you've got a new single. Now, folks should remember, who are listening to this on Rudy Blair Entertainment Media, RudyBlairMedia.com, you mentioned earlier about you will not write anything unless it's an experience. So we're going to see if this was an experience. What's the new single, please, and what's it about?
Yeah, my new single is called Over a Drink, and it's basically about first dates and awkward conversations, and it's just not really, going anywhere that you're really wanting to. Personally, when I first moved to the city, I was going on dates and, having these small relationships that just were exhausting. And, anyone in the dating world can probably relate, and that first dates are just very tiresome at times, and they feel like really dry and like an interview. And I'm a spunky person. Like, I want to have a good time. Like, I want to go out for beer and chicken wings and like, and have the conversation be fun. And I feel like a lot of the times it's been stuffy, and I'm like, oh my gosh, so irritated with it. And so when I wrote the song, I was on a Nashville trip in 2019, and I walked in with the writer Jimmy Thau, and I was, I'm a very open person. I'm the kind of person that if I sit on the park bench, I'll tell you my whole life story. So naturally, I was just telling him about someone that I had just started seeing, and it was just really boring. And I said the line "over a drink" in conversation, and he sparked up and was like, "Hey, that's kind of cool. I think we can work with that somehow if you're down." I'm like, "Yeah, for sure." So we did, and it twisted into the song that it is. It's just about, like, don't be so stuffy. Just have fun with it. Like, don't be, have a good time. Don't be afraid to be yourself,
Well, you do realize, like, I don't know if you're dating right now or if you, have a significant partner, but if not, you realize now with this song coming out, anybody who tries to date you now, they're going to be going all out. They're going to be like, buckets of wings and,
oh my gosh.
It's party time.
you know what? I was just talking to my girlfriends about this other day when I was talking about the song. I'm like, these poor men that are going to hopefully maybe want to take me out are going to be scared. I have this Over a Drink mixology series that I've been doing too, and where I talk about these first dates, and I feel kind of bad a little bit that I'm calling these people out, but you know what? Just have a good time. I hope I'm not scary either.
No, you know what I think it is? I think this goes right back to what we talked about before. You have an old school soul. We can tell with your music and your lyrics and things like that. I think the biggest problem is these days with people coming up in relationships, it's not like me, who's twice as old as you are. I knew before there was a thing called Facebook or social media, how you went up and spoke to somebody and was being yourself. These days, everybody can be a persona on whatever social media they want, but then when it's time to step up, they can't back up this. They cannot back that up. So
totally,
you're putting it out there, and I think that's the smartest thing you can do with the song to remind guys, be yourself. Don't be fake on social media, because a person like you, when it comes time to meet them, is going to want to know, can you take this on?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like a lot of people too within dating. No offense, men, but to you boys, like, there's something about impressing a lady. You got to kind of fabricate things, and that drives me nuts, And I went on a date with someone once, and he knew that I was a country singer, and I got in his car. He's like, oh, yeah, I know country music. And I was like, okay, cool. And he played Old Town Road, was the country song of choice. And I was like, man, you are not impressing me right now. Like this isn't good. You couldn't pick anything else. Just own yourself. If you like rap music, own that. Like, don't try to impress me just because that's my job,
I hear you. I love it. Now, with this great single and story, what's going to follow? Is there going to be an EP, and is there going to be an album? Because if there is, man, I am looking forward to seeing what the video is going to look like and what the story is going to tell, because I feel like I've got, episode 1 coming up, and I'm waiting for episode 2.
Thank you. That's exciting to hear. Yeah, of course. I mean, even though being in the industry for a long time, this is kind of my new start. This is my first single that I'm putting out in a long time. And so 2021 has definitely a few more projects that are coming. This is definitely, like you said, the first chapter of what's to come. I'm not going to say too much yet, but yeah, there's definitely some more of my voice and my face coming up soon.
Has it been tough recording during COVID because things are opening and closing? I mean, did you record in a studio? Did you have to record at home, somebody's home? And how did you get the music out? And also, is there a video?
Yeah, so recording-wise, I didn't do a lot of recording in 2020, and if it was done, on my own little home equipment, and I would send it back and forth between my producer and not. Only just recently have I started going back in the studio and back in the writing room in person, safely, of course. So that has been something that we're just now evolving to and adjusting to, but this is, the new generation of technology. Like, everyone has home studios. It's so easy to go back and forth and do it that way. You don't need to physically be there, as nice as it is. There's ways around it. Video-wise, I did actually just put out a music video a couple of days ago for the Over a Drink song. So that's on YouTube and everywhere now, and that was a really fun experience to film as well. So that is out there. It's there.
Fantastic. Social media is the place to go. Where do we go to follow you to find out what's going to be happening with you throughout 2021?
Yeah, Nicole Sumerlyn, at Nicole Sumerlyn, spelled Sumerlyn. Some people think there's 2 M's. It's just one. At Nicole Sumerlyn for Facebook, Instagram, my website, Spotify. It's all there. You Google that name and my face pops up.
Fantastic. Nicole, thank you so much for doing this interview. This was so fantastic to get a chance to talk to you, and looking forward to hopefully talking to you more in 2021 when the rest of the music comes out and everything else you're doing. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Take care. Be safe. We'll definitely talk soon.
Hey, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I'm over a drink.